Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. We are diving into quite an interesting Young Living training call today. The title of it, to give you an idea, is Don't Rob People from Hearing About Young Living. And we're going to get right into it. But first, we need a disclaimer. Okay, now that that is out of the way, we have one more piece of housekeeping that we have to go over. If you are not new here, you know that you can go down to the bar at the bottom of the screen and skip ahead to where it says reaction starts here. You can also go down to the description, to the chapters at the timestamp where it says reaction starts here and click on that to skip ahead. Otherwise, if you are new here, please give this a listen at least one time. I do not blur the names or the faces of the individuals that I am reacting to in my videos. This does not mean that I am encouraging anybody to go and seek these individuals out and send them hateful messages or mean comments. Please do not do that.
Do not engage, repeat, do not engage.
My content is meant to be educational, but most of all, entertaining. So let's all do our part and keep it that way. And with that, we're gonna get the into it. Really quickly, if you're not familiar with Young Living, they are an essential oil MLM network marketing company, pyramid scheme, whatever you want to call it.
I think they're kind of a snake oil salesman.
And their product of choice to shill on us is essential oils, obviously, by the name of the company, Young Living Essential Oils. That's really all we need to know before we get into this call. So let's hear what they have to say.
Here we go, y'all. I am going to talk to you guys about starting conversation. So this is kind of a follow-up to my last video of finding your why. So if you haven't watched that one, or if you've missed any of them, go back and take some time and watch them because they're just all amazing. So this is a little bit of a follow-up to finding your why. What do you do after you have your why of why you want to do this business? So where do you go from there? And that is where you have to start finding the people and start the conversations with the people. And so what I have done is I've personally grown my business in person. And so I am mostly going to be speaking to you about how to do this in person. But if you're somebody who is growing your business online, you need to really pay attention to this because you leave your house.
Before she gets into it, her audio is a little bit blown out. I'm going to do my best in editing to fix it, but I have issues with fixing audio sometimes. So I can't make any promises. So just my apologies in advance.
And if you leave your house, you're seeing people. And that comes back to why you want a why that is so powerful that you just can't help but sharing, because when you see somebody at the grocery store or the post office or wherever,
you mind your business.
That may be the only interaction that person ever has with someone willing to share Young Living with them and willing to share the things that could help their family.
No! Those poor souls. You are going out and interrupting people during whatever errand they're running and talking to them about your MLM product. Please don't do that. If somebody approaches me in a grocery store or at the mall, oh my God, that reminds me of the booths. When you used to go to the mall, like the kiosks in the middle of the mall, they would have the ones that would just be there. Like they didn't care if you stopped at their booth because they're just basically a store. But then you had the ones that were probably MLMs and they would come up to you and be like, let me show you my flat iron. I'm like, no, don't touch my hair. Thank you anyway. So I started to, whenever I would go to the mall, when I had a cell phone finally, whenever I had to walk by one of those kiosks, I would like call my mom and be like, Mom, I'm walking by one of the kiosks. Just talk to me until I finish walking by, because then I can like be rude and ignore them. But otherwise I'm really bad at saying no thank you, which is probably why I got into 4 MLMs. But you know, anyway, don't approach people at the grocery store out in public when they're just trying to run their errands about your Young Living bullshit. It's not necessary and totally intrusive, in my opinion. I don't like being approached when I'm trying to run errands, especially at the grocery store. Like, I'm there to pick something up. I'm probably makeup free in my yoga pants and hoodie, running in, getting my shit and leaving. Just leave them alone.
And that is where the whole mindset of, I don't want to share with them, I don't know what they're going to think of me, or I don't know. That is what is key, is you have to put that aside. You have to put that away and say, no, I'm here for them. And if I don't share with them, maybe no one else ever will. And then they won't get that thieves cleaner or that laundry soap that helps their family with their eczema, or that whatever it is that they need help with. They may not get that. They may not get the help that they need. For us, the products have given us a lot of help with our mental health, and people are struggling.
Whoa, whoa, slow your roll, sailor.
Ma'am, the help that they need for their mental health and eczema is nothing that Young Living can give them. Those things come from a physician who is qualified to give you those things.
They've given us a lot of help with our son with autism. They've given us a lot of help in many different ways. And maybe you're the only person that person ever sees who uses Young Living and knows about the products and knows how to help somebody with them. So if you don't stop and have that conversation, then maybe no one ever will. And that opportunity was lost, and that person goes on and they never get what you have that could have helped them. So that's the mind frame that you want to be in as you're starting conversations. So the ways that I meet people to start those conversations are what I'm going to talk to you about. The number one thing that I do is vendor events. And that is how I have found, that's how I made it to Kona. That's how I'm going to be probably going to the Dominican Republic. I enrolled my people through vendor events. And there's, you can hop online on Facebook's where I found them. A lot of people have that question. Where do you find the vendor events? I got into a group in my city area and they post them there, and that's how I find them. And then you just sign up for them and then show up that day and set up your booth. It doesn't matter how you set it up. I don't care if all you have is a starter oils kit or a starter thieves kit. You can do a vendor event with that.
Here's a fun fact that they don't tell you when they're trying to sell you on their pyramid schemes by getting into vendor events. Vendor events have set people that come every year. Most vendor events, the vendor events that I have dealt with, which have been every single one in my immediate location because I was desperate. I called all of them. Here's how most of them work. Every year, they throw their vendor event. These are usually annual things that are happening. Home shows, fairs, all of those things. Every year, they have a list of vendors that come to the event to be part of the event. And every year, the vendors reach out to the people who were there last year to make sure they don't want to come first. So most vendor events, unfortunately, are filled with MLMs, and most MLMs are taken for vendor events. And Young Living, I've seen at every vendor event that I have been to. So your odds of getting into a vendor event, I said vendor event a lot just now, my apologies. But your odds of getting into one of these events are very slim because there's likely already a consultant from all of these MLMs already in that spot every year, unless they have something going on, in which case most times they hand it down to their team, so they still won't have an open spot. So likely the only time you're going to get in is if, one, it's a brand new vendor event and they don't have a list of vendors already, and two, the vendor that was there is no longer with the company, so they don't have a team to give it to. But chances are neither of those things are going to happen when you're trying to find a vendor event and you're in an MLM. It's a huge pain in the ass, and it's something that they always will bring up when they're trying to sell you on the opportunity, but they don't tell you the side where it's really, really hard to get into vendor events as an MLM distributor.
That is all you need. All you need is one handful of products that you can share with people, and you can do a vendor event. So so I get it all set up, and then I'm at the vendor event and people are walking by, and I'm just going to give you an example of what I say. So a lot of times I'll have my friend Carrie with me, and I will stop the people and say something like, hi, we might start with, have you heard of Young Living or used their products before? Especially if they've come to the booth and they're looking, then I really start with that line of, have you heard of Young Living or have you used their products before? And if it's somebody who's just kind of passing, you might say, always greet people. That's one of the most important things. I'm always just smiling and greet people and happy, and they will gravitate to that positivity. And so that's where to start. It starts here. Number one thing is, if you're doing a vendor event, you are standing out in front of the table and smiling and greeting every single person. That's why I like to have someone with me, so that if I'm engaged with someone, other people don't get missed as they're walking by. And So anyway, so you meet them, you greet them, and you just kind of start up a conversation. And usually I just started up with saying, I'm just here sharing. I'm here with my friend sharing, and we're just sharing how we've gotten the toxins out of our home. And this is what we use instead in our homes.
Cut the bullshit.
Stop using the word sharing. You're there to sell. You're not there to share. You're likely not going to be like, hey, here, have this bottle of oil. No, you want to sell all your shit on top of the Young Living opportunity.
And our health is so much better, and our lives are just so much better. And these are literally just the products straight out of my kitchen and bathroom and just straight out of my home. And this is what we use. And then you go from there and say, that then you could even follow up with, if have you used any? And a lot of times people have used Thieves products. And so that's a place to start. Start with that and say, yes, Thieves Cleaner is an incredible cleaner. And Young Living has over 600 other products that are incredible. And I'm here to help you find the next one for you to start with. And it's and another thing about only having a handful of products out is that's great because I do have multiple out because I found if I take something and I don't take it, I always want it. There's always somebody that I want to show it to or share it with. And that's why I have more out, just because I've been doing it longer. But you don't have to. And it's good to have a handful and say, let's start here. We're trying to figure out the best place for you to start or the best place for you to go to next. And that's what's great about the Make a Shift kits. It's a great, simple thing for you to say, just start here. Just start with this Thieves bundle. Thieves bundles are incredible because they can help everybody in the whole entire home, every pet, every child, every person in that home. Just changing out those couple of Thieves products can help everyone. And so that's kind of where I go with that. And I lead a lot of people to the Thieves bundle for that reason and with those words. This is what can help your whole family. And I will tell some personal stories. And if you don't have personal stories, you can tell other people's. You can tell my son's story.
You can tell other people's and just pretend it's yours. These people never cease to amaze me.
Of how he had a diagnosed skin condition and it almost looked like he had welts head to toe, and he spent almost 17 years of his life itching because when we tried multiple laundry soaps, we tried different things. And until we switched to that Young Living laundry soap, and then his diagnosed skin condition went away, that we were told would probably never go away. And that's our laundry story.
That's your laundry story. It's also a medical claim. Interesting how that works.
And a lot of people have issues with laundry, and some don't even know they have issues with laundry. They don't know their laundry soap is what's causing their asthma or their child's asthma or their eczema. They don't know that. And so that's why a Thieves bundle is great. If all you have is a Thieves bundle, that's spectacular. Just go to a vendor event with a Thieves bundle. It has a couple oils in it. It's great. So anyway, so I may follow. So here's a couple key follow-ups for at a vendor event, especially if they say, yes, they've heard of Young Living, or yes, they've used Young Living. Your next question is, do you have your own account? Do you just order from someone else? And if they say, yes, I have my own account, your next follow-up question is, when is the last time you've ordered? Because I have found so many people who have answered me, yes, I have my own account. And I found out they ordered 8 years ago, and that starter bundle has been sitting in their closet for 8 years, never opened.
Maybe that's their way of being nice and being like, yeah, I have my own account and I don't want to talk about Young Living anymore. I'm moving on to the actual craft booth that is 2 booths down from you, shoved in the corner because all of you MLMs are here taking up all the booths.
So you have to follow up with certain questions to find out whether this is someone who you can enroll, because they aren't actually enrolled with someone if they haven't ordered in over a year. And so that's a good, some good follow-up questions. Just basically engaging. Your biggest thing, no matter how you're meeting people, your biggest thing is to listen. Listen to their needs. So your next thing with that, and with vendor events for sure, but in other ways too, is you need to get their information. You need to have a way to follow up.
By stalking them?
And especially at vendor events, don't get frustrated that everyone doesn't enroll with you. People don't necessarily show up at a craft fair expecting to spend $200 on this type of product. It doesn't mean they're not going to. It means they didn't come there that day prepared for that. So you have to be prepared to follow up with them. It also doesn't mean people won't enroll that day. I have had multiple. That's how I got to Kona. I got to Kona with enrollments from vendor events.
Nobody I know that goes to a vendor event goes with the intent of spending $200 on MLM products ever. And never do they go to a vendor event seeking out an MLM to join. It's just a false reality that we're living in this young living world.
At that vendor event. So there's both scenarios, but either way, you have to have the follow-up. So I've used just different cards. Some I've made my own. I've got cards other places. I've used different scanners, anything that gets me their information. I do have a QR code linked to my Facebook page that people can scan also so that I can get them into my Facebook group. That is something that I just started doing. Another thing with vendor events is if you don't enroll somebody at your first one, well, that didn't work. Let's just give up. One, we can't do that with anything we're doing. What I figured out vendor events on my own, and I just started to do them. I just showed up literally across the street at the campgrounds, had a vendor event. And I got there and it was basically a garage sale. And I showed up and one of the people that I met at that event enrolled with me 3 years later. And that's another thing is I don't ever judge a vendor event by what happened on that day. Oh, I didn't enroll anybody. It was a failure. One, it's never a failure if you've made a connection. Two, people are going to enroll with you in their time, and your job is to follow up with them until it is their time. And that's what I keep doing. And I still have all of the information from all my vendor events I've been doing for almost 4 years now. And I follow up with them. And I have had people enroll 4 years later. So I never judge by nobody enrolled, or I will tell you what, if I have one person enroll at a vendor event, I automatically just say that was a huge success. I helped one family today. It was, even enrolling one person usually will get back your money that you invested in that event. So that's just a benefit there too.
That's a waste of time.
So that's all you made back is the money you invested in the event. That's not good. The amount of work it takes to go to these vendor events, sometimes they don't even have tables. So you have to bring your own tables in. You have to bring all your product in, and then you have to take it all out when it's over. So the amount of work there alone is not worth just making your money back that you paid to be at the vendor event. No, thank you.
But you've got to follow up. So that's the main stuff about vendor events is you've got to greet the people. You've got to listen to their needs, try to plug them into the products that will benefit them, and then you have to follow up. Whether they enroll that day or don't enroll that day, you have to follow up. My other big thing, this will lead into the next thing that I've done, is you need a way to invite them to further education. So I actually have little printouts of my next class that's coming up, and I hand them out to anyone who's interested and invite them to my next in-person class. And that's kind of my next follow-up. And then if I have their information, I'll send it to them again so that they have that invite. And you're personally inviting them to something. And that's just something, even just in general. So other places that I'll enroll people, Walmart. I'll talk to people at just any store, at the post office, wherever. I will strike up conversations with people that lead to a conversation about inviting them to one of my classes or inviting them to join my group or inviting them to Young Living.
Why don't you just leave these people alone?
This is why I don't do regular shopping anymore. Just Amazon, virtual pickup, whatever I have to do to not interact with people that are going to try to talk to me to buy their bullshit. I don't want it. This is why I have social anxiety.
And it's, I had one, we were looking at stamps at the post office and I'm like, oh, that looks like the waterfall that I just saw in Kona. And we just started talking. I'm like, oh yes, I won the trip through my company. And she's like,
you won the trip. You don't win trips in MLMs. You quote unquote earn them by recruiting and selling, mainly recruiting. So telling somebody that you won a trip is total bullshit. Winning something requires you to do nothing but enter. Earning something requires you to recruit and sell. But again, mainly recruit.
oh my goodness, I'm looking for a job. Can I talk to you? And she friended me on Facebook and that was just from the post office. So the biggest thing to remember again is you may never see these people again. So number one, don't be all in your head about, oh no, I'm going to say the wrong thing. Well, one, you might say the wrong thing, and then you know what? You may never see them again anyway. So who cares? Or you may never see them again, and this is your only chance to talk to them. So that's why it's important. But I've learned from my vendor events. I've learned from talking to people in the stores. I have learned what to say. And you do learn. Practice does make perfect. Practice makes it where you learn what to say and you learn how to say it. And you learn when to say it. And so sometimes you just learn, okay, this isn't the most appropriate time to bring my business up, but I saw that person somewhere else and maybe it was. And I know other people are going to come in and talk about this. And I know Kim talked about it of you've got to find your places to see people, join groups. That's what I've done. That's where I've enrolled people. We've joined places. I go to places. I go to a meeting once a month on Tuesdays. And that's where I've met people and I see them, one time a month, and then they see me and then I've had some come to my classes and I take my little invites everywhere with me.
That's really sad to think about, like this individual in particular, but so many people in MLMs who are following this structure, which are a lot of them, are going to certain events and finding certain events with the main agenda being not going to meet people who have similar interests, or maybe they want to become friends with and go to coffee and just kind of have a friend, companion person to go to be with, because we're humans, we need interaction. They go instead with the agenda of getting them in on their MLM, letting them know they sell whatever product that they sell, letting them know that they are building a team with whatever company they're building a team with, and not genuine connections and genuinely going out to just be around people who have similar interests. And that thought gives me like a pit in my stomach, just like remembering the feeling of going anywhere to talk about Scentsy with somebody. I don't know how people continue to do it. It makes me feel a little nauseous. We just need to connect more as humans and not sell and recruit more.
One thing I was told, like, don't mess with business cards. Nobody hands them out. And then I kept needing business cards. So I printed business cards and I hand them out all the time. And it has the link to my Facebook, and it has the link for them to order under me, and it has my information for them to connect with me. But you can't talk to people if you're not meeting them places. And doing this in person, I have to have in-person things. And even with my business card, I try to get them to scan the code right then so that they're on my Facebook and connected to me right away. But they still have the card if they don't or can't or whatever. They have it. So let's see, stores, groups, vendor events, that's where I meet the people, and give it time. Again, you've got to give it time. You cannot just do one vendor event and say it didn't work. It took me a year of doing vendor events for me to really feel like I had it. And even the other day I was doing one with Carrie, and halfway through it, we just paused and stopped and rearranged our tables and everything because we weren't feeling it. It just didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right. So we shifted, we pivoted, we changed stuff around, and the afternoon went much better than the morning. And we don't even know what it was or why it was, but we said, let's just change something. And so we did. And the afternoon went better. And so just keep doing them. That's all I can say is you have to keep trying and keep learning how you learn what to say. The more that you talk to people, the more that you get comfortable with what you're saying, and the more that you do learn what to say to the people. And let's see here. Just keep inviting people. That's the biggest thing. And then let me find my notes here. Hold on. I do go up to people at a store. I don't just walk up to somebody and say, hey, take my card, but if they're looking at a candle, I could say, oh, you know what? I'm teaching a class about why we've gotten candles out of our home next week. If you want to come, it's just at my house down the street.
It's kind of creepy.
And then I say, we've turned a third of our basement into a classroom that I teach from. And I say, hop into my group and you can see the other people coming and bring a friend. I always tell people to bring a friend because people are going to be way more comfortable coming to any event that you're hosting if someone is with them.
That is so unbelievably trustworthy. I would not be inviting strangers to my home for an essential oil class. That's just not something I would do. That is an interesting approach.
Always careful and always sure to tell people to bring a friend, bring all your friends. And, so that's another one. But basically, we're trying to fill our funnel. And the more that you're out there and meeting people and doing vendor events and doing different things like that, the more that you can fill that funnel. And the more you fill the funnel and the more that you follow up with people, the more enrollments you're going to get. And then the more you follow up with them, the more of them are going to get on loyalty rewards. And the more that they're going to order and they're going to bring their friends to your classes, and they're going to invite their friends to wherever you're sharing. And that's how we grow. That's how we grow, is just getting other people invited, involved, and bringing them. So yeah, just join groups and talk to people wherever you can. I know I had other things I wanted to share. I'm trying to remember. And one of my biggest things was just changing my mindset and letting go. I had a conversation with the other ladies that are sharing in this group today about how I'm not good with technology. I am not. And I know that, and I own that. And the more that I was thinking about it, the more that I realized all the people that I have enrolled with Young Living, I've enrolled because I've met them in person. And because I let go when everybody else was doing this online, I let go of that. And I said, no, I'm going to do this the way that I was meant to do this, the way that I feel right in doing this. And I did. And in doing that, I enrolled 55 people last year, which was a huge number for me. And they were at vendor events. Almost every single one of those were at vendor events. And so I found my thing. My thing is vendor events, and my classes are the follow-up to those vendor events. And so I'm starting classes in 3 or 4 different cities between my house and Carrie's house and all the way up Highway 55. 55 is my number, I guess, for this year. And that's what I'm doing. And you have to find your way, and you have to find your why. And once you've found that why, and you say, and you think about other people, and you're putting the other people first, and you're putting their needs ahead of yours.
You're not, though. You're thinking about yourself and putting your needs ahead of theirs. You are in this for the money and for the business and for the team. You are going to these events to recruit more people. So how is that putting other people's needs first? You're taking their money and recruiting them into a pyramid scheme, in my opinion.
You're not worried about what are they going to think of me talking to them at Walmart. You're worried about, what if I don't? What if I don't talk to them at Walmart and nobody ever talks to them ever about this?
They'll be okay.
That's what has to be in your head. What if I don't share with them? What happens? How are they ever going to find the help that they need? And
yeah, they can probably go to a physician and find the help that they need, more so than Young Living.
And then reverse it. What if I do share with them? Well, you do share with them, and they listen, and some will, and they will enroll. And now you have a new member. They have products that are helping their family, and everybody's a winner because you got that courage to share. And it takes time. It took me about 3 years of really getting out of my head of sharing with strangers. And it did. It took me about 3 years, and then I just had to start doing it.
Also, essential oils and all natural cleaning products are not something that's foreign to anybody. These things are things that are mainstream. They are in grocery stores. They are on Amazon. They are in small shops that you can go to, small businesses that have reputable oils for less expensive. It's not something that they're never going to know about. These things are very well known by most people, or at least they're known of. They know that these things are an option. If they wanted to learn more about an oil that can help them with whatever, they're gonna go and Google it. They don't need somebody walking up to them at Walmart or the grocery store and being like, hey, have you heard of Young Living?
And then I just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept finding more ways to do it. And that's how I've grown. That's how I've grown. And I just think about my why, and I want other people to find their whys and think about their why. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why does this mean so much to me? Why did I choose this job? I chose this as my job. I chose this as my career. This is my business because I am here to help people, and I know that I can. And I've been helping people for 5 years next month now. And It's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to do this job in person, and I know that. And so that's what I've done. So basically strike up those conversations, just smile and just say something about, we found something better. We found something that isn't causing our family breathing issues, or isn't, just something like that. Find whatever. So that's what I was going to say is, it's hard for me to tell you exactly what I say, except for at vendor events. I basically say the same thing at vendor events, but just meeting some people just out in public, it's hard for me to tell you exactly what I say, because it literally comes to me in the moment. And then it just comes out my mouth. And that's the key. When those words come to you and you keep them inside, everyone's a loser. When those words come to you and you share them, everyone's a winner, because you're sharing. And now you've opened the door, and many people may say no, or they may look at you funny or whatever. And you have to be okay with that. And that's just the place that I am. And it's like, okay, you know what? I can't make them use these products. All I can do is share with them what we're using and how it's helped us. And so and the words just come to me and I share them, and at least I know I did what I could do. I shared, and that's my job. My job is to share. My job is not to make somebody enroll. My job is not to make somebody use these products. My job is to share the products with them in the nicest, kindest way that I can. And then it's their decision on what they do with that. So I hope that was helpful, and I can't wait to talk to y'all again next week. And I hope you're enjoying this. I am really enjoying all of this and all the videos and everything that everyone's sharing. It has just been so helpful for me also. And I'm just go back and watch any that you've missed, because they've just all been incredible. And I can't wait to see y'all next week.
I hope she gets out soon. Don't join an MLM, guys. It's time for a palate cleanser. TikTok hates your bullshit.
So I just found out that zits are a real thing, and my mind is blown. For those who don't know, I guess a zit is something that like a boil or a wart on your face that's filled with pus and blood, and it will literally like shoot them out if you squeeze on it. And I saw them in movies and shows and stuff, but I thought it was just a made up thing. Like, my face will get red, but I've never gotten like a zit or a pimple or anything like that. And I totally thought it was like made up, like a Harry Potter spell or something. Oh my gosh, my mind is blown right now. Like, I can't imagine waking up and having a zit, like a real zit or something on my face. I guess, who else did not know that was a real thing? Like, people actually get these on their face, and like, oh my gosh, I could not imagine just waking up and having like not perfect skin or something. Oh, it's so gross.
Young Living probably has something for your zits. It's giving Gen Alpha. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me while I talk a bunch of shit, and I will see you in the next one.